Hey folks, this is Soul with another video. The other day, I decided to do a rare thing and actually listen to what other people are saying about the World of Warcraft. I listened to our friends at the Marcellian Online channel, and by friends, I mean we've spoken twice and it was a very pleasant conversation. In a video, they noted that another streamer, Towelliee, said that he's hearing internally from Blizzard that...
I mean, I could tell you that 10.0 is going to be different. 10.0 is going to be very different. That's all I can say. It's gonna be different, and I'm not saying it in a bad way either. You can clip me right now if you want, but just so we can reference this moment years, maybe a year or two from now, and I can say, I told you, motherfuckers.
It's a lovely game of telephone, right? A video here says that another video says that a streamer says that he heard something 10.0. The key takeaways of this is that the next WoW expansion is going to be different and supposedly not in a bad way. And that's what we're going to talk about today, which is suspiciously not unlike my 10.0 wish list from a little while back. We're going to kick back and have some fun and speculation based on what is vapor. Pretty much. This video happens to be the abridged version. I did this little brain exercise on stream and I'm going to have that up on our other channel with a link to that below. There's obviously not much to break down here, but we can come to a few conclusions. 10.0 is being worked on, and that's kind of a gimme. We've learned over the years that the World of Warcraft team works on 1 or 2 expansions ahead of now. Even with the pandemic forcing the work from home situation, the Blizzard lawsuits and more, the team seems to be pushing ahead. Now the following, like most everything I'm going to be talking about, is headcanon, but I've got to wonder, assuming that 10.0 is in its planning and concept stage, is it being developed in some basement tucked deep underground out of the view of anybody, or is it exposed to outside influences? And here's what I mean. 915 is kind of like a monument of Blizzard learning lessons, maybe a little bit too late for some, I totally get it. And these lessons include philosophies on alt-friendliness, account-wide unlocks, progression and story, and more. Not to mention the grander schemes around making so many meaningful choices. You'd think that if 10.0 is going to be different, it's going to reflect some of the most important lessons learned from Shadowlands, including how to push a game on a regular timeline under less than regular conditions. Continuing my headcanon, it's my hope that the features of 10.0, whatever they are already designed with reasonable account-wide unlocks in mind, giving it that 915 sort of feel. The WoW team was already on the right track with the Threads of Fate to address what was the elephant in the room. Having to complete the Shadowlands main story every time would have been really discouraging. But let's be clear, we don't know jack about what's coming in the next expansion. Anyone who says otherwise is wrong. Heck, Towelliee and the whole premise of this video may be wrong. And we've seen during the last few seasons of expansion speculation that every theory out there has been wrong. But many folks out there, including you, including me, are addicted to the promise of a better future. I call that hopium. So let's relax and have fun with this one. What in 10.0 might be coming that is different and not in a bad way? With 10.0 being developed under the cloud of the ongoing Blizzard lawsuits, I feel as if Blizzard and the WoW team wants to make a comeback, like, rising from the ashes or soul ashes. No one, really? I can envision a more aggressive team, as in one that's willing to take risks and swallow its pride for the sake of delivering a good experience. I believe in a WoW team that has cleaned up its act and wants to make a welcoming and inclusive experience while still maintaining that Warcraft identity. But all that said, I can definitely see 10.0 dissolving the faction divide to reflect a gameplay-first mentality, but also to decouple rivalries among players that don't really need to be forced. But I want to be very careful with my words here. I'm not saying that there's going to be peace, or that the factions are going to end, or that we can betray our factions, or that one faction will eliminate the other. It never has to get messy from a lore or design standpoint. I'm saying that the restrictions that divide players could just go away. If someone values their faction pride over wanting to fill out a group, that's entirely that person's choice. Now, of course, I hate to be in that group that's almost full, but the group leader is like, ew, there are only human mages, lol, forget that, for the Horde. Come on, like really? Deeps is deeps, right? I've been preaching this since like BlizzConline. I strongly feel that by default, there should be no barriers. Like the Knights of the Ebon Blade and the Argent Crusade and the armies of Legionfall, the Cenarian Circle, and all the other banners that the Horde and Alliance characters have rallied under, we can do it again, and it doesn't need to be under anybody. Players should be able to play the race that they want to. There's like so many of them, and we shouldn't have to feel locked out of half of them because they're on the other side. If the divide is lifted, faction swapping doesn't have to be a thing, and if you think that Blizzard's going to take a financial hit, I would think, why do you care so much how much money Blizzard makes? But also, I bet that it'll be more than offset by more people being able to play, and a lot of, well, race changes services that's going to be bought too. As a whole, professions in WoW are mostly good at one thing, and that's making money. Anyone who thinks otherwise is probably an engineer. Don't worry, I totally feel your pain. A different but good 10.0 hopefully means a strong delivery of professions to WoW, and I envision two key takeaways. One, to make cool things that people can show off, and two, to make cool things to feel powerful with. Engineering might feel unimpressive in Shadowlands, and it mostly is. However, the wormhole generator that it can make with controllable teleport points and a short cooldown, it's really powerful. And there are numerous armor and weapon models that aren't attainable right now. So bring those in, add in a whole bunch of recipes as cosmetic items that crafters can make up some new ones as well. And anything else that the team can think of too. Like for example, it would sure be nice if across multiple professions we can upgrade our Traveler's Tundra Mammoth or Expedition Yak or a Brutusaur with this thing that will give us a more up-to-date vendor. That would be really neat. And I know that you were waiting for this one. You were waiting for this. It's coming, it's here. Player housing. It's the gaping hole in World of Warcraft features that is common in most other modern MMOs. And you bet this would change things. Like imagine with me wanting to make a mithril table for my house or whatever. I would farm up some materials from vanilla content and then make it. But now imagine wanting to make a table with an artsy design of Nefarian on it. Okay, cool, you gotta get the recipe from Nefarian by killing his butt, and maybe some higher end materials. But now, how about a different table with Argus drawn on it or something? Okay, well now we're farming Legion content. Player housing is the love child of the current achievements and collection systems that creates a visual representation of what you've done beyond just an achievement score or shift clicking a thing into chat. It's also potentially the expression of how it is that you are celebrating these efforts, whether it's mounting heads across a mantle, or an entire dragon scale themed home, or racks of armor down a long hallway, or a brothel because you know it's gonna happen. It can empower every profession, and the demand for materials across the whole game would skyrocket. Like, who would have thought that fiery and lava cores would be suddenly useful again? And I totally understand the pushback. We've already had the garrison. Playing house is dumb, and being a murder hobo for the past 17 years is all we know. Cities would be empty because people would be sitting in their homes. But my opinion, I don't see much value when a city is full of people, but they're all just standing around waiting for a queue to pop. In fact, if Blizzard did want people populating cities, they would have only let you queue up for content from a city NPC, just like the good old days. And for those who are sitting around and decorating their houses, what would they be doing if not for that activity? The answer might be nothing. But before I drag this any further, we're gonna move on. More than anything, World of Warcraft discourse has revolved around progression past max level. There's just like too many chores, there's too much to grind for, and we just want to play the game. That's kind of it in a nutshell. And here's what I've noticed over the years. The choices that we make as players used to be just our talents, and then our gear, notably like trinkets or set bonuses. There's nothing to power up outside of the gear, but then we had more to juggle. We had side stuff to do to power up our artifact weapon, we had to get a legendary, and then our Heart of Azeroth, and then essences, and then we had to get conduits and the new legendary gear to, grind for. Remember when major glyphs used to be a thing? When all we had to do was craft or buy the glyph, preferably from me, and learn it, and then we can just slot it however we like? Since they went away from Legion, the World of Warcraft team's been filling that gap ever since, with a thing to learn and figure out and grind for. This is not fact, this is just what I've been observing, but I think that folks are just tired of grinding to prepare their characters with the gear and the currency to buy the conduit thing, and the ash and the cinders and the shards and the embers, and they'd rather grind to get that awesome reward that they've been wanting all along. The preparation is just way too long. So what would a 10.0 expansion feature be like? I'd like to see the thing, whatever this thing is, almost right away. Not unlike the artifact weapon with, there's no upgrades, there's no powering up that's needed. Gosh, that almost sounds like a talent row. Meanwhile, progression past max level, it'll be what it used to be, just gear. It brings us back to a time when our characters felt ready to play by the time that they are max level. It's just that the throughput isn't quite there, and that's where gear makes the difference. But the long-term grinds, they can still exist. They'll just shift fully towards the cosmetic side of things, not unlike Anima and the Sanctum upgrades, which are not universally hated. And that gives that much more room to manage alt without feeling overwhelmed. 10.0 would feel pretty different if all the race and class restrictions were just gone. So yeah, I'm talking about Mechanome Demon Hunters, I'm talking about Tauren Rogues, and Undead Paladins. There's some good reasons to say no to this, of course, like it obviously doesn't make sense. How did Metal Gnomes become Demon Hunters? To answer that, we need only look as far as how every race can now become a Death Knight starting in Shadowlands. The premise might not be what you agree with, but it's simple, and more importantly, it's already out there. There's no takebacks. So the Death Knight premise is that there are bodies out there. They're everywhere, and Bolvar didn't care who he raised. Boom, done. The story is written, and well, that's all that needs to be done here. Demon Hunters who aren't Night Elves or Blood Elves, they can get a new intro experience, like a new Demon Hunter training school thing to prepare against the threats of the Nath regime. Races who want to become shaman or druids or paladins, they can do so. They'll just make a new character, and they'll get a slightly different experience in their starting areas, followed by some induction ceremony at level 10 just in case they want to Exile's Reach or something for their early leveling. The point is that I get it when people say that it doesn't make sense and that lifting all the restrictions is kind of like retconning story. But what I'm suggesting here is to just write new story to downgrade this backlash into more subdued grumbling, like, oh, I can't believe they did that, but oh, they did it. Takeaway, players get that much more control over their own roleplay. The discourse over time walking is ongoing. Many players want a shorter time walking schedule. On the other side of things, though, is a different sort of complaint, but it's still kind of the same thing. Players want to be able to dive into all sorts of queued random content while at max level. Right now we get Shadowlands Raid Finder and Shadowlands Dungeons, and then we get a peppering of time walking dungeons every 3 weeks. I fully agree with folks on this one, like we should be able to queue for random dungeons at max level and dive into like the Dead Mines or Wailing Caverns with level scaling kicked in. I mean, Party Sync became a thing about an expansion ago. LFD Party Sync could be a similar thing too. I think that'd be cool, but it's also not enough. Because really, why would I want to queue up and end up in Shadowfang Keep or Halls of Reflection? Ugh. Like, what's the incentive? What am I going to get? The answer should be some sort of PvE-related currency that can be spent on PvE-related things like gear, and it's supposed to be, or it should be compelling enough to run, but not required enough to be a grind. Know what I mean? And it's this that, in my opinion, would really change the game in 10.0. An easy-to-understand, grindable currency like Valor that is farmed in a group finder system with over like 100 dungeons and raids for tons of variety. Probably hatred, but tons of variety. The audience that's fairly casual but still comfortable enough in groups, dude, they would eat this up. And it gets players of all sorts meshing together for common and uncommon goals. And that's going to be my list so far. And well, I'm just going to turn the mic over to you. What do you think would make 10.0 feel different but good? I think I was a little bit conservative, and on the stream I picked up all sorts of crazy ideas. So if you want to listen to that, check the link below. If you want to help me out, hit the like button, subscribe for more content, maybe consider supporting us as a patron, that would be cool too. But otherwise, I will see you next time. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.